You see it everywhere, right? On social media, in magazines, this idea of the perfectly sculpted zero-fat body. It's held up as the pinnacle of fitness. But what if you could actually do it? What if you could just snap your fingers and have 0% body fat? You'd think that's the ultimate goal, right? Well, let me tell you, the reality is a whole lot more terrifying than you could ever imagine.
So on one side, you've got the perception, a body at its absolute strongest, super efficient, the ultimate athletic machine. But on the other side, you have the brutal scientific reality, a body in complete systemic collapse. We're not talking about just being shredded here. We're talking about a full-on shutdown of every single system that keeps you alive. The hunt for zero fat isn't a path to strength. It's a direct route to catastrophic failure.
This quote just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? We spend so much time and energy talking about the dangers of having too much fat that we completely forget why it's there in the first place. Here's the truth. Your body doesn't just tolerate fat, it is desperate for it. Without it, the system doesn't just get a little sick, it faces a very, very quick end. All right, so let's actually run this thought experiment. Imagine you wake up tomorrow and all of your body fat, every last bit, has just vanished. What happens first? We're not talking about a slow decline over weeks or months. The crisis begins almost instantly. That first 24 hours would be an absolute cascade of alarms going off as your body realizes its most critical resource is just gone. To really get how dire this is, you need to understand something called essential fat. For men, the absolute rock-bottom biological minimum you need just to stay alive is around 3%. And this isn't the fat you can pinch on your stomach. This is the baseline stuff woven into your organs and nervous system that your body needs for basic, non-negotiable functions. Anything below this, and you're in a danger zone your body was never ever meant to handle.
And for women, that essential baseline is way higher, somewhere around 10 to 12%. So why the big difference? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is hormone production and regulation. We're talking about the systems that support fertility and even govern things like your mood and energy levels. This fat isn't optional, it's a fundamental part of the body's entire operating system.
And let's be super clear, we're not just talking about the fat that sits under your skin. We are talking about visceral fat, that crucial internal padding that literally cushions your heart, your liver, your kidneys. Without that cushion, your vital organs are left totally vulnerable and exposed, risking damage with every single movement you make.
Okay, so within hours, the dominoes start to fall, hard and fast. First, with zero energy reserves, your body panics. It starts burning the next best thing it can find, your muscles. Second, your metabolism slams on the brakes, crashing to an absolute minimum to try and conserve every last calorie. Third, your body temperature plummets. And fourth, hormone production just stops. Without the fatty building blocks, things like testosterone, estrogen, even vitamin D simply can't be made.
This is the grim reality of where we're at. It's no longer about burning fuel. It's about tearing down the machine itself, piece by piece, just to keep the lights on for a few more moments. It's an act of pure desperation, and it only gets worse from here.
So after that initial shock wears off, the body enters a phase of, well, managed self-destruction. The major systems don't just get weaker, they begin to actively shut down as the body literally consumes itself for raw materials. This is where things go from being critical to being terminal.
Think of your organs like engines that have been completely drained of oil. Your liver, starved of the fatty acids it needs, turns to your proteins, breaking down your own muscle tissue for a horribly inefficient source of fuel. Even your heart, which is a muscle, starts to shrink and get weaker. The whole system is just grinding itself to pieces.
And the damage is just everywhere. The walls of your heart get thinner, leading to weird heartbeats and a huge drop in blood pressure. Your immune system basically just packs its bags and goes home, leaving you totally defenseless against even a common cold. Wounds stop healing. Your skin becomes almost see-through as the final layers of subcutaneous fat disappear.
The damage isn't just physical either. Your brain is incredibly dependent on fat to create something called myelin, which is the protective sheath around all your nerves. Think of it like the plastic insulation on an electrical wire. Without it, your nerve signals slow down, they misfire, your thoughts get foggy, simple memories vanish, and trying to concentrate becomes next to impossible. Maybe one of the cruelest symptoms of all is the cold. Without that subcutaneous layer of fat for insulation, your body has zero defense against the outside world. The air feels like it's cutting you. A slight breeze becomes agonizing. Your body will try to shiver to generate heat, but every shiver just burns more of your dwindling muscle, making you even weaker. It's a vicious cycle. Now, I know this all sounds like some kind of morbid science fiction horror story, but here's the thing. This scenario isn't entirely hypothetical. There are real-world examples that show us in devastating detail just how catastrophic the absence of fat can be. We've seen this play out in two very different but equally tragic ways. Back in the 90s, some professional bodybuilders, in their quest for that ultimate definition, pushed their body fat below that critical 3% line, and it resulted in fatal heart problems. And then you have people with a rare genetic condition called lipodystrophy who are born with almost no ability to store fat. They face a constant, lifelong battle with incredibly severe health issues.
And here's the cruel irony for people with lipodystrophy. While they may look incredibly lean, their bodies are in constant danger. Without fat cells to store the energy from the food they eat, all that excess glucose and lipids just circulate in their bloodstream, wreaking havoc and destroying their organs from the inside out. It's heartbreaking. They often develop severe diabetes and liver disease when they're very young.
So after walking through the absolute horror show of a fat-free existence, it's pretty clear we need to completely reframe how we think about this stuff. We've been taught for decades to see fat as the enemy, something to be fought and eliminated. But the truth is, it's one of our most essential allies for survival.
We need to stop defining body fat by how it looks and start defining it by what it does. It's our primary energy reserve for tough times. It's the factory for our essential hormones. It's our insulation against the cold and our protective padding against getting hurt. In short, it's a brilliant, multi-purpose survival tool.
That layer of fat on your body, that's stored energy, its warmth, its defense. Of course, too much can be unhealthy, but its absence is absolutely fatal. This is the biological blueprint that has allowed us to survive and thrive as a species for millennia. It's not a flaw in our design. It is our design. So you see, the journey to being healthy isn't some all-out war on fat, where you're aiming for an impossible and deadly zero. It's about finding a healthy equilibrium. It reminds us that in biology, just like in life, the answer is rarely about total elimination. It's almost always about balance. So the real question is, what does that balance look like for you?